I'm so thrilled to share this interview with Fritzi Horstman, founder of the Compassion Prison Project, whose aim it is to turn prisons into trauma healing centers. She's powerful, brilliant, and this interview is a dense one that dives deep into personal responsibility, vulnerability, and potentially some statements that might be triggering to some. So make sure you have the capacity to take it in. There's a lot of technical information about how trauma works in the body, and most importantly, about the potency of what is possible when we act from love. If you feel called, please donate to the Compassion Prison Project, share this interview, and listen to the others we've launched so far in this Fierce Wisdom series. Enjoy, and here's to all we can do each and every day to honor our inner creators and to live lives of creativity and love. So I'm here today with Fritzi Horstman, and I'm so excited. I'm not going to pretend. I'm so excited to be able to talk with you. I feel blessed to know you. And I'll just say to begin, I want to have you introduce yourself in the Compassion Prison Project. But literally the first time I heard about your work was in 2020. I was here in my parents' house. And I was upstairs and I watched Step Into the Circle. And I remember, because I just watched it again before jumping onto this call with you, I watched it again. And I just, the wisdom and the beauty and the way that when I first watched, I think I watched it a couple times when I first saw it, and it just made me cry. It made me weep because I feel like there's a message since 2020 that has definitely come out into the world a bit more around the work that you do and the consciousness that you're here to shift through a very particular niche of the fabric of our society. So I'll start it with that. And of course, people need to watch this video. And just for anyone who is new to you and this work, can you just tell us who you are and what the Compassion Prison Project is?
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for that introduction. It's so beautiful. And so I'm Fritzi Horstman, and the founder and executive director of the Compassion Prison Project. And our mission is to transform prisons, is to create trauma-informed prisons and communities. Trauma-informed is like, we're sick of that word, or that phrase, but trauma-informed, I think, is compassion-informed, really. It's just seeing each other as humans and seeing each other for our divinity, but also for our humanity. And under the category of humanity is mistakes, is harm, is fight or flight, is unconsciousness. And so when we look at that, we have to start, I start with, we're all doing the best we can with what we have. We're all doing the best. Even people that murder, even people that hurt each other, even me when I was an abusive mother, verbally abusive to my son. I was doing the best that I could. I didn't know any better. And now that I know better, everything's shifted. But bringing awareness to our pain and the pain that was given to us and the pain that we are inflicting, to me, is what's up for us, what's up for everybody in society. This is the time that we have to dive into the pain in our field, I guess I could say. What have I done? What's been done to me? And that has to get metabolized. I mean, I don't want to say have to, but that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my metabolizing. I'm aware of what, just walking the dog today, there are two of them, and they're crossing, and it's just insane. And my whole nervous system just went wacko. But I was aware every time, and I shook and I cursed them, but I saw myself curse them. But that's the way. To me, that's consciousness. I'm still unconscious because they're activating me, but I'm aware now. So I've taken the step to transform this behavior. And in that is forgiveness for myself, forgiveness for everyone who's hurt me, forgiveness for everyone who has passed down this trauma, which is centuries ago. My ancestors gave me this. This is part of my inheritance. But also my inheritance is resilience and strength and power and fortitude and compassion. So it's all good. It's all good. These are the tools I was given, and this is where I'm going. And where I'm going is teaching the men and women in prison primarily right now about what trauma does to the brain, body, and spirit, and how this has impacted their criminality and their behavior. And the big message is, this is not who you are. The big message is, you are a divine human, and you're divine and you're human. So you are perfect and you got some work to do. And so I've created a 16-part curriculum where we do this work. It's called Trauma Talks, and we're in 15 prisons in California, prisons all around the United States, and now in New Zealand, in Northern Ireland, in Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and discussions about Romania. And, it's a big map. It's a big world. So I thought, I'm all over the place. And it's like, no, you're just in a few places, but that's the ripple effect. You have to start somewhere. And so I've started.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. I mean, I feel like you just dropped so much information that could take us in so many different directions, but I'll go into, because I feel like this is very personally relatable. And I think that's what I love about your work is there was just some part of me that knew your work to be true, like knew the perspective you had on, it's not even inclusiveness. It's like the isness. This is the world. This is what we're doing. This is where we're not conscious. And the prison is a meta fractal of what we're doing inside of ourselves. And that, the pain of that. So the words I put in caps, dive into the pain in our field. And I remember what year, this was 2020, actually. It was earlier that year before the pandemic had started. I had a massage, and I've been doing energy work since 2008. When I got into that work, I was like, oh my God, no, the person doesn't have to touch my ankle and it feels better. It didn't have to be tactile. It was working on the level of consciousness. But when I went to this particular practitioner in Austin, Texas, I was warned, like she goes deep. And I remember her just touching places not touching, like going deep into places in my body. And I had an embodied experience of, we need to feel our pain. We must feel our pain. I mean, people could scroll back in my socials and look at this video from 2020. But this is what I'm hearing you say. And just before we started recording, we were speaking about, when we don't do that, we create this field of projection, right? It almost blinds us. And I don't know, it just we create this kind of bubble world that is just a bunch of projections. So I guess I would love to hear you expand on this, because it feels personally relatable, the importance of diving into the pain in our field. And maybe you have some stories, or maybe how you like personal stories, or how you see it with the work that you do with all the people that you're in the prisons where you're working.
Well, yeah, this is the post-it on my computer. It says, accountability will heal the world. But being accountable is being vulnerable with yourself, is looking at your pain, where you've hurt others and where you're hurting yourself, and where other people are hurting you. So we have, I call it the algorithm for transformation. That's what I teach the people in prison. You have to be vulnerable, you have to be accountable, and you have to forgive. And in those three things, if you can get on with that for yourself and for it's like everything has to be looked at. And believe me, I'm still a student of this. I don't know where this information comes, but last night I yelled at my husband, just because I was in an old pattern, and there it was. And just repair as quickly as possible. This is our university of life. Everything that comes to us that is painful, or whatever's left that we haven't unearthed in us that is painful, needs to be looked at. So what we look at a prison, we look at a jail, what we are looking at is generational harm, societal harm, ancestral harm, familial harm, personal harm, and then perpetuating harm. And also the projection that our society does is we want someone to blame for the pain we have. We don't want to address it. So we are projecting, at least I'm not that person. At least I didn't murder. At least I didn't, rob somebody. I may have hurt my child, but at least I'm not that. Guess what? You've hurt your child. That's harm. And that needs to be addressed and repaired. That's it. But that piece of forgiveness is the key here. Because if you go down this road of being accountable and looking at it all, it's dark. It's dark and it's sad and it's horrifying. And then it has to be addressed with forgiveness. And just my whole eyes are all red thinking about this. A lot of the men that I work with in prison don't want to forgive themselves. And so, we have people who want to project and not look at the pain, but we also have people that have had to look seriously into their pain, and they don't want to forgive themselves because of what, and so prisons, we're talking about some serious crime. We're talking serious harm and a lot of loss of life. And I get them not wanting to forgive themselves. But it's weird. Sometimes it depends on who the person is, but sometimes this can be arrogance. It's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm not forgivable. I know. And then sometimes it's just the wretchedness of being alive, that you can't forgive this. One man murdered his wife and his daughter, but he had been up for 5 days. And anyway, he was basically, I would say he was insane at that moment. When the cops came, he said, please tell me this is a dream. And so he's lived with that, right? So, I've watched him in the 5 years I've worked with him. He's working through this. He's working through forgiving himself. The Rob Reiner thing just came up. We're thinking about that right now.
Yeah.
But murdering your parents, and so this is our crime as well, right? This is our crime. It's all of this is ours. It's ours. There's no separation. So when I 15 years ago, before I even walked into a prison, I was thinking what we're doing in the criminal justice system is wrong, is off. There's something off. I knew this. And then I didn't know it was my life's journey, or my calling to do this work. But I got the signal. I got the information. It's like, oh no, you're doing this. I walked into the prison, cried all day, and then I left saying, no, this is what you have to do now. But it was through the trauma lens, so that people could forgive themselves, and ultimately so other people can forgive the people in prison. Because then what happens, it's like a mechanism that happens is when you release your judgment of others, you begin to, and maybe it starts with yourself, probably starts releasing your judgment with yourself. You can release your judgment about others. And that healing, that's an energetic thing that, as David Hawkins says, when you heal something in yourself, you heal it for the world. I'm seeing that every day now. I see it every day in a letter I get or in a phone call I get of not only the men or women inside healing, but also healing their families, changing their relationships with their children. I mean, to me, it's quantum, it's generational, but it's what is up, I believe, for all of us. I believe this is what's up, because I'm seeing my shift in my family. I'm seeing my shift in the way I react with my son, or with my husband, or with myself. I don't think there's anything more important we can do right now. Just learning to love ourselves and forgiving ourselves and forgiving everyone. And we're about to print 5,000 sets of workbooks, because we're about to create a trauma-informed prison. But so I had to add 2 pages because of the page count was off. And So I added the neuroscience of forgiveness and the neuroscience of gratitude. When you have resentment, you put your body in a state of fight or flight. And those chemicals are going through your body and you're not processing your diseases. Your immune system's shot. Everything is shot. And you're reliving this harm that was committed, right? So your body doesn't know that this isn't happening to it right now. So when you release that, you have released a lifetime of suffering. I mean, you're really suffering by not forgiving somebody or forgiving yourself. So, like, it's like a crucial thing. Course in Miracles, I'm going back to it. I've done it 2.5 times, and I'm just going to go back because the wisdom is in there, and it's very important. And, grace. We're so hard on ourselves. I mean, and I would say mostly, especially men. I don't want to go gender because I know it can upset people, but I've worked 95% of the people in prison are men. And so what we're dealing with is a brain system that, when it's stressed, either wants to isolate or use violence. That's what, when a man is stressed, he goes to his amygdala. When a woman is stressed, she goes to her cortex. So she wants to talk about what's going on. And this is such an important piece to know too, because I'd see my husband go isolate. I'd ask my son how his day was. They have no access. They don't have as much access to this part of our brain. So they don't have all the myelin in the corpus callosum that connects the two hemispheres as much as women. So men need help metabolizing their feelings. And so my solution is getting men sitting in groups so that they can, because they need other people. They just don't think that's not their go-to. That's women's go-to, but that's not men's go-to. And of course, they call them bridge brains, where some women isolate and use violence and some men talk about it. We know those guys, we know those women. But that's kind of the setup that, couples get together and they don't understand each other. But I think if they knew that this is just built into the mechanisms, there'd be more forgiveness and more grace there too. And again, back to, we're doing the best we can. Always. We're always doing the best we can. And even that means murder. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but even though it means murder.
No, it doesn't sound ridiculous to me. And I think this is why I connected to your work, because I do have this fundamental belief that I share this with you. We are doing the best we can. And there's a lot of darkness out there. I feel like I've had a renewal because I can go I used to have fantasies I remember when I went to college, I was like, okay, if someone attacks me, I'm just going to love the hell out of them, and turn them around. Like, some part of me believed that I can love so big, it's going to change someone. And I do believe in the power of love. It's almost like the spectrum feels like it's getting bigger. It's like there's or we're getting more extreme. Like, there's the extreme numbing and there's the extreme opening. And people do say we're coming upon a shift, but I mean, everything you're saying makes sense. I think our basic mechanism is for life, but it gets so distorted. When I was watching the video again and I see you in that t-shirt, there is no shame, and you're talking about, and again, I think this relationship to the person who's not in jail, like this arrogance, and even arrogance is a best attempt. And it makes me think of control. And it's just like, the pain of shame is so powerful, and I'll just share this too. Like, I did, and it might bring up something around the actual work that you're doing. I was in a high ticket coaching program and we did an exercise to release shame. And I won't go into the details of that exercise, but that night I couldn't sleep. And it wasn't because I was activated or triggered. It was because I was free. And I just had so much energy moving through my body that had been trapped. And I know this is the connection that I have with prison. I was like, we all know what it feels like to feel trapped, or to not have an option, or to feel suppressed. Like, a choreographed pieces that, there's sections that address that kind of like caging in. And that is the compassion. That is where oh, I see you, my sister or my brother. And wow, like that brings me to tears. It's like, I know that pain. I know that pain. And you're doing this work in this particular lens, but it is for all of, or this particular place, but it's for all of us, and all of us doing the work. It's so quantum and so collective. So I know the work that I'm doing is touching that person in prison too. We're too connected. So I just want to let's do the collective movement. So yeah, I even we're all doing our best.
Yes, and I'm doing some IFS work right now with a therapist, and I was just seeing it's like bringing kindness as like a through line every day, just bringing more kindness, being aware that, oh, I'm not being kind there, or just thinking I'm going to be more kind. That's quantum. Like, I know kindness seems so mild, but David Hawkins says, be kind to everyone and everything, including yourself, at all times, without exception.
Ooh, I have a question for you. So one of the energies I've worked with is anger. And I didn't know how to work with it. I had a series, I tell stories sometimes in my coaching groups around like a time when I had an outburst with my partner in my 30s. And in that moment, I was able to transmute that anger into real precision and clarity and boundaries in a series of energy healing sessions I had after that. Like, your face, I gotta tell you the story. So literally, my partner came into the apartment. I was living in Brooklyn, New York, and I had just had this healing session. I was feeling great, like la la la. I feel so free. He comes in, we have our same fight, and and he goes into the bedroom and slams the door shut. And I picked up my wall and I threw it across the room. And my rose quartz, like loving bracelet, flies off my wrist and it shatters all over the living room. I dented the wall. I mean, I'm strong. So there was like this act of violence. And I contacted my teacher. I was like, I don't know what just happened. I was feeling so good. And I just did this thing. And she was like, oh, was the anger healthy? And I was like, no, I just threw my wallet across the room and broke my bracelet. And she was like, not the action, the anger. And I was like, oh. And then I went and I did my energy healing clinic, and I had 8 sessions that were just like boom, 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 like so sharp and so clear. And anger in traditional Chinese medicine supports clarity and boundaries and protection. So I'm kind of curious what you might have to say, because you're working with people who have had access to, I'm going to call it, so much power, right? But it gets sent in the wrong direction. So when I hear you say kindness, I think sometimes the general thinking could be like, oh, be soft and kind. But how do you work with the level of powerful energy that some of these people that we have access to, and that they see, oh, it went that way, and it was the more life-giving choice would have been something else? Does this question how's this landing?
Oh, big time. So
okay.
So it really goes right to the shame piece. Yeah. So most people in prison have been shamed beyond belief. The amount of trauma that I hear of. So they're living in a world of shame. Anger is a way to return the power that was taken from them. So anger is the thing. It feels good. It's fun. Finally, they're feeling themselves. They're feeling a part of themselves. But it's a high. It's a high to feel like adrenaline, and you have access to something in yourself that isn't shameful, even though some of the results of the anger can be shameful again, which is one of the problems. Yeah. And anger is under 200 in the map of consciousness. So you have to use force to get what you want, whereas love is 500, 540, so you just use your power. That is your real power, right? Courage and above is your power. So we're in a force. We're forcing. So when you threw that wallet up against the wall, but you were forcing. I think forcing the clarity, forcing the self to show itself on some level. My mother used anger a lot, and it was abusive. And that's the other part. I used my anger on my son. I would yell at him. And then it would feel good, or, I would express something. But the pain and the shame that I would live with after that, after I had created that in my son, has been the one piece of forgiveness that has been very hard, very hard to do. For all mothers who have hurt their children, repair is the way home, and is the way for them, for your children to understand that it isn't them. The repair heals the shame. And so then we don't have the dysfunction. We have a woman who's out of control, but we don't have a child who thinks it's him. And though he did, I'm sure he did when I did it. And those are pathways we're still working out. But on another spiritual level, that's what I came to do, was to injure my son. That's what my mother came to do, was to injure me. My father came to, become an alcoholic so I would work with this material. So ultimately it's all grace, and it's all grateful, but this is the work. This is all of this unconscious stuff has got to come up, because probably under that anger was other things that were triggered that had nothing to do with him at all.
None of it had anything to do with him. I know this, and it's interesting you're talking about mothers and children, because I worked with two moms last week. And again, this is the relatability of we're all going through a different version of healing. And one mom in particular was really struggling with her son. And it's just like, what do I do next? What do I do next? Like, I'm worried about him. And I know both of them very well. And just what I had to do was take her to her pain. And I don't know, she cried on the phone with me for probably 30 minutes, because it had nothing to do with him. And then I was just like, just be loving. This kid is scared. He doesn't know what to do. And do you see how that's a projection of your own inner child that was scared and didn't know what to do? And the tactic you're using is what you think. I mean, it has gotten her to this place in life, but it's like the generations come up and show us, it doesn't work anymore. You can get stronger and more angry and whatnot, but is it really going to work? And, and she texted me later. She's like, he cleaned his room, and I don't know, he apologized for how he was acting wonky, but she was like, I just kept being loving.
Yeah. And the energy shifted. She shifted. So it all shifted.
Yeah. Because she was like, well, what do I do about him? I was like, don't even pay attention to him right now. This is about you. And this is what I hear in the work that you're saying. The three words you said: vulnerable, accountable, and forgiving, or taking those three tools. And also, I love that you're bringing in what I hear you referencing, the book Power versus Force.
Well,
also,
actually, letting go is the one.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet. It's in my storage right now. But yeah,
Power versus Force, letting go, truth versus falsehood. All those they're all, some of them are repetitive, but letting go is the one. Letting go.
Okay. That's great to know. I will make sure I pull that one out of my storage when I get back to it eventually. And because, it's funny, I would look at that book on my bookcase a lot as I was talking to people. And I just I must have been getting some transmission from it. I mean, the title is powerful enough, but that's good to know. I will dig into that one.
Book. It's his last one.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sure I want to see a manual now, because I feel like I'm just like, even talking to you, learning more about even that you added in those 2 pages about neuroscience. I feel like you guys are giving these books to, is it the guards and the prisoners?
Well, we have a book for the guards. This is
okay.
This is
Trauma Talks.
First workbook, where there's 8 of them. And so it's a lot of brain science, but it's also love science, I guess you'd call it, compassion. Mm-hmm. It's really reminding them that they're not bad constantly. Yeah. It's scientific, but it's also spiritual. Carl Jung says, we have to get the therapist and the clergyman together now. We have to bring science and spirit together, and so that's what I've been doing. And I just recently really got into Carl Jung, his wisdom about the unconscious, his wisdom about myth, about dreams, about all of these things that are all kind of there, it's in the background humming, and we're not even aware of it. We're not even aware we're living a myth. We're not even aware of the hero. What journey am I on now, right? I'm in a new journey because I just had an ending. So the hero's journey shows up, it's another journey. So I highly recommend diving into his, he says, I'm not what happened to me. I am who I choose to become.
Yeah.
Right. Just that one, right? Just that one, because we have the choice to become whatever we want.
Yeah.
But in that choice is learning how to respond instead of react, to be kind instead of cranky. I would say if you're cranky, you're traumatized. I think that's to me, that's that algorithm. Most of the officers are cranky, and working with the officers is the next step on my journey. But to me, the prisons won't change until the people that live there change. We can't tell the officers to do something if we have violence happening in the prisons.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that because you've chosen to be inside the work. You're right inside working with the people. I just want to hear you say more about the power of transformation from inside, because I would think that most people would say, wait, well, these people are in prison. What power do they have? But this is the point. This is your focus, right?
This is it. And this is it.
Yeah.
And so arguably the people in prison are the most traumatized people on the planet, arguably. I mean, we've got people on the streets, we have homeless people, we have people being trafficked. All of those, many of those are represented in prison as well. So it's those people we're talking about, the ones who cannot find a different way because they are so traumatized. They have to kill, they have to rob, they have to rape or have sex with, whatever, do drugs. Violence is a solution for them on some level, which is a very low frequency. The message that has been delivered to most of the people in prison is, I am not enough. I am not lovable. I have no value. I had that message given to me as well, or I interpreted, yeah, exactly. And look around in society, look at Black Friday, look at Christmas. It's all about materialism. It's the material trying to fill this body. The pain, right. But it's really the spirit. It's the spirit that needs help healing. It's the spirit that needs attention. So it's a distraction, it's a numbing, and it's avoidance, because it's the pain that you're saying we have to dive into. So that's what happens in the 6-hour one day workshop that I do with them, or in the 16-week curriculum that I give them. That's what we're doing, is we're looking at what happened to you as a child, and are you alone in this? Are you the only one on the planet who's been abused sexually, physically, emotionally? Are you the only one on the planet who had a drug addicted parent? What they are finding in this course is not only are they not alone, they're all in this together. That is a huge shift. Because until we do this circle, which you've seen in Step Aside the Circle, or until they sit in a group with 15 other men or 20 other men or women, they think they've been holding this pain by themselves. This is global pain. And so these are men and women. I say men because it's 95%. So most of the people that I see are doing this are men. But when a man or a woman in prison brings light to his own darkness, and then sees other people bringing light to theirs, and also helping others bring light to theirs, we have started to create a new reality. Yeah. And Calipatria prison near the Salton Sea in California, right now, over 500 men are doing trauma talks out of the 689 in that yard. So by February, we're going to have basically a trauma-informed yard. So that means 500 men will realize that one of the big things that comes out is it's not what's wrong with a person, it's what happened to that person. And that applies both to themselves and to everybody else they see being reactive. And so that reframe shifts the whole dynamic in there, because it's not like, oh man, it's, oh my God, they're hurting right now. So imagine you have 500 guys. And by the way, the captain of the yard, every time a new person arrives to live there, she asks them to do the course because she's seeing it change. And they want to bring me in to work with the staff next. So we'll see how that goes. But now, so what I've come to understand is when there's critical mass in this place, violence is not going to be part of the deal. The other men that haven't taken the course can be regulated by the men who have. There's going to be an energetic shift there. So that's what I want to see is what happens with the officers now, because the officers are asking now, they're seeing the shift in the guys, and they want to understand what do they know that I don't know? Why are they different now? Why are they suddenly not whacked out? And so back to Hawkins, when you heal something in yourself, you heal it for the world. Well, these men are healing this. So this is starting, the ripple effect is starting to happen. And then we're going to another prison where the warden says, yes, let's do this, but let's start on the most violent yard, please. Let's start there. So, because they're like, well, put your money where your mouth is. So,
wow.
So we'll see. I mean, dreams are coming true because I imagine this, creating trauma-informed prisons. That's our mission, right? Also, some of the men are like, well, we want our wives to go through this program. So now I'm getting a list of emails so the women so the women and spouses can start doing this program as well outside. So now we have trauma-informed families now suddenly.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it gives me this image of, we have this image of what a jail is, but I'm seeing it as this like beautiful blooming garden, like to really to change it into that. Now I'm understanding the inside out more, or I feel like I'm feeling your vision a little bit more. And I feel like one of the beautiful things I thought I had as I was listening to you was, community as a shame eradicator. And there are ways that, it's a reverse of a lot of times the tribe can shame us, or the tribe can can welcome us back in. And that's what I hear. Community is interesting, right? Because it is a way that we go numb too, right? Some community, but if this community can wake up, like, yes, ripple effect.
Well, I'd say it's more mob. I wouldn't say it's a community.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like that almost, what is it? Mob, or like a like a lower mass consciousness versus one that's continuing to elevate us.
Yeah. Well, it's people looking for validation that they're okay, but at the expense of destroying somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is what all wars are, what Nazism, all of it is based on projection.
Wait, we need this again. Validation that they are okay at the expense of destroying someone else.
Yeah. But emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those things. But that's the shadow, right? That's the shadow material. But remember, the other side of the shadow it's also your creativity, and so getting in relationship with your shadow is getting relationship with all of it. It's the juice, it's the meat, it's the humor. But you shut that part down because you're afraid of it. Because I was afraid of it for 56 years. I didn't know I was doing shadow work. That circle, I had no idea that, this is shadow work. I had no idea. I was like, that's what I'm doing. Okay, cool. But I just learned that diving into young. The shadow is part of us, and it needs to be included. It's got to be included, but it also has to be welcome to the party in a healthy way.
Definitely.
Yeah, because like my father was addicted to alcohol, and that's his shadow running the show. But what's underneath it, all kinds of abuse that was never discussed, right? And so my mother, who was, verbally abusive mostly, didn't understand it. So she condemned it, so, and that's what we do a lot with the addicts. We want to condemn them because we think they're out of control, and they are, but there's a good reason. There's a really good reason they're out of control, because their shadow has taken over and doesn't know how to heal.
Yes. Yeah. One question I have, which is, I think, just speaks to human behavior, is the pattern of our subconscious is so strong that it's going to want to pull us back again and again and again. You know, whether I'm trying to help someone with making more money, or, you know, stopping an emotional or a relational pattern that they have. So I'm curious what you do to support people in their longevity, so to keep them from falling back.
Well, we're going to fall back, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
but it's one. It's the dogs. I'm aware now, so I get to start really dealing with that. Or the awareness is the key. I don't think you can heal all at once. I don't think it happens overnight, but the awareness can happen really quickly. But this awareness must be accompanied by forgiveness. It must walk with you as you're walking those dogs. We can't leave at home. We cannot leave forgiveness home. And they say in the Course of Miracles, God doesn't need to forgive you because he knows you're innocent. Forgiveness is for you so you can remember who you are. And so that's the key here. It's like we're in the process of I think it's reawakening. We're reawakening. We were already, when we came in as babies, we were good to go, I think, most of us. And then, all this got layered on. So it's just, reawakening what's always been there, which is perfect and exquisite. And as I say, I give this example almost every time. It's from Byron Katie mostly, but you don't look at a flower and say there's something wrong with the flower, do you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you criticize a flower? Well, guess what? You're one of the flowers in the world. And so, yeah. I mean, that's where we start from, that understanding, if we can.
Mm-hmm. One of my teachers says all judgment is self-judgment. And it's just such a simple a simple mode of awareness. And this thing that you're saying, like, awareness can happen quickly. It's true. It can happen quickly, but like the repatterning takes some time. And I feel like you mentioned this word grace too. It's to give ourselves the grace of listening to what we're ready for too. Because I feel like that level of honesty, it's awareness also. Like, I was talking to a client that was like, I know this, but I'm not ready for it yet. And I feel like that's something really important to honor, because there really is no arrival place. It's just what is here now, and how am I relating to what is here now? So and that makes me go back to that image. We're just blooming. Like, and the flower is going to look different here's this flower. Okay, it's this flower now. Ooh, this flower's not doing, like the cycles of how the garden grows, really, right? Like within each one of us, it all just is. And I think there's, we can harm ourselves by putting an expectation on what it's supposed to look like. Like, that's like the antithesis of this. Forgiveness feels like such a companion with presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Elizabeth, oh God, what's her name? Anyway, she says there should be no cherished outcomes. Elizabeth, she just, eat, pray, love.
Elizabeth Gilbert. Yeah.
No cherished outcomes, which I just love that, because you expect this great holiday dinner and, the turkey burns, right? No cherished outcomes. Do the work and bring in the forgiveness. But also, the other thing I wanted to make sure, when we're metabolizing our trauma, little bits, we don't have to, go through all of the wretchedness that happened in one day. As we're healing, we need to be really gentle with ourselves and quietly, I'll take a walk and I'll start talking to myself and just say, oh, let's look at this now. Let's talk let's talk it out a little, just so I have a little session with myself. And I keep reading this. The body hears everything you're saying. So make sure what you're saying is just so kind and encouraging. We have to
Yeah.
encourage ourselves.
Woo, I can feel that one. As a very set, like I often feel like there's things that you've said throughout our talk today where I feel it in my body. And that's usually the entry point where I'm working with someone because I can feel their body too. And there's a patterned imprint that, as I heard you say, like that level of kindness that I think all of us on some level are searching for.
So much,
Yeah.
so much. Because, we all want to be seen and we all want to be looked at like, oh, you're my darling. You're my darling. And why don't we give that to each other, right? My mother never gave that to me. I mean, in glimpses, there would be moments, but I make sure I give that to my son. And
Mm.
and my husband, we're working on that. We're working on this dialogue of love and appreciation. It's just it's so healing because, there's that shadow voice that comes up and says, you're a piece of nothing. And it's working with that and saying, no, we're okay here. We're okay. It's all those parts of us, in IFS or whatever, however you go, however you approach it, but to love ourselves.
For sure. And a phrase I often use is honor your inner creator. It's been a hashtag I've used for years, developing into something. I'm not quite sure yet what it is yet, but I feel like we're so powerful. We're so powerful. And even what you're saying, like the words we speak are directions we give to the universe or the thoughts we think. And it also just makes me wonder, for me, it came to life for me as an artist, where being a dancer was my safe place to be fully expressed. And I wonder if there's any piece of like how creativity, you said that word once a little bit ago, how creativity might play a part in a person's recovery.
Well, absolutely, because we have all this extra energy now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, like what you were up all night after you dealt with your shame.
Yeah. And I knew it wasn't a problem. I knew it was just like, oh my God, I'm ready to go into the world in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. And they say we're made in God's image, and God is extremely creative. I mean, if you go out there, the ginkgo trees now are just shedding their yellow flower, their yellow leaves.
Yeah.
It's glorious. It's everywhere you look, and that includes you. And so, and creativity doesn't have to be a dancer or an artist. It can be a little gift you give. It can be anything. It can be anything. It can be a word you say to your friend. It's really, there's no limits into what. Well, and the other part is God is always giving. God or the universe or whatever you want to say. I don't want to turn people off, but the universe is constantly giving to us. And so that is, since we are a reflection of the universe, it is when we have the energy to start giving, be of service and giving back. And that's
when we have the energy.
What?
When we have the energy.
Exactly.
The resource. Yeah.
That's our true creation is giving back or creating a love in somebody else, right? Or sharing our love with somebody else. That's, is there anything else more important?
Oh my gosh. Geez. Well, we should probably start wrapping this up. I didn't even get to really ask you. I mean, you said you went into the prison and you knew it was your work, but I mean, unless there's something you want to just share more about your personal story, I would love to hear. I can imagine it's only been a journey with many twists and turns to develop this, like from that seed of inception, from probably connecting your life to, oh, this gift of your all your trauma to give back, in another way. But I guess I want to open that up in case there's anything you want to just share about how this journey has gone and where you see it going.
Yeah, I believe my entire life prepared me for these latest
Yeah.
6 years, last 6 years, like from the filmmaking to the all the work I've done on myself to my ability to organize and understand systems and understand what works and what doesn't. Like when I go to a Costco and I just see where things could be better. I can just see it. So that's what happened in prisons. And like one of the things I
Mm.
really, really understood was we cannot blame anybody for what has happened. I'll just say it really quickly. David Hawkins says blame is the world's greatest excuse. It enables us to be limited and small without feeling guilty. There is a cost, our freedom. But the blame, when we blame others, again, it's projection, but it also takes away our agency. It takes away our own ability to create because we're waiting for the world to heal us. We've lost our own ability. So what I've learned is that nobody is wrong. There are no criminals in the prison system. They're just traumatized people in the prison system. And so when we come to the table with a new way that works for everybody, it will shift. But that's the key. The minute you say, look what they're doing, or look what they're doing, you're in blame and you're in your fight or flight system. So we've got to stay in our cortex so we can find a new system. The only way to do that is to eradicate violence. The only way to eradicate violence, from what I can see, is bringing the violent inclinations to the light, which is the darkness, is to bring our unconsciousness to the light, which is what we're doing in prisons. So it's a very spiritual thing, but it's also very practical.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if there's like, what is the simplest tool that maybe even if you have one to share that anyone could implement right away, or maybe something that is like, what is there
Well,
that
there's a
you're working with?
couple. First thought, second
Okay.
thought.
Okay.
First, so what's your first thought? He's an asshole. Second thought, oh, he must be hurting. Window of tolerance. When I'm like this, I'm whacked out. But to be aware that the window has shut, that I am here instead of here. Like I can do anything here. That's a good one. Just remember gratitude every day. That locks you into the present moment instead of what's wrong. There are no justified resentments. You cannot justify resenting anything. It's just that's a blanket. We can be our small self, or we can tap into our greatness. And so what does that look every day? Where can you be great today? Because that's available to all of us.
Yeah. I'm curious, just one, like maybe two more questions. One, because as a dancer and what I teach is all embodiment based, like what are you doing in relationship to letting their bodies move differently?
Well, after we do that circle,
Yeah.
then we've brought up the past, we brought up the gunk. So we do a thing called form banana. You form the banana and then you jump around. Then I point to them and I say, "You're amazing. You're amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing." So they're saying that they're telling me I'm amazing, and then they're saying that they are amazing. It's amazing, brilliant, creative, and that we are united. We are together. We are in this. We are enough. So we do that. That's one of our somatic exercises. And when I can, I have them stretch depending on the day and the time. I have them expand themselves as big as they can so that they can feel their greatness, so they can embody the physicalness of being bigger than what they've
Yeah.
thought. And I do
Okay.
that when I walk. And that's what dancers do. They do move into their majesty, right? I know that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love seeing your body shift as you're talking about it. It's like, we have a connection. There are imprints, like we've seen them, right? And I feel like our higher self kind of notices it too, and we can step into another embodied imprint. Oh, yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
when you walk in like that, it helps other. That's why we like celebrities, because they're standing up straight,
Yep. Yeah.
because they're reflecting back to us who we are. There's nobody.
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they have more money or whatever the story is, but they're in their majesty, which is what we all have. We all.
Yeah. And we're all doing some cleanup because the cleanup is going to be endless because there's some majesty that is also a cover up sometimes too, you know?
Well, look, there's cleanup on aisle 5, there's cleanup in the 405, there's cleanup everywhere.
All the time. Yeah, it's part of the
Yes.
journey. Yeah, and to take joy in that cleanup too.
Well, yeah, but these are like, as in the curriculum, I say become a trauma detective. Find out what happened to you and what resulted in your behavior from that. What is that? What is that behavior? It's not a bad thing. It's just what you do. It's your survival, and you just love that
Yeah,
part of you. And then it can shift,
alchemize. Yeah,
right? It just shifts. It does.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
So what is the best way that if someone is called to offer support for your work and its longevity?
Yeah, go to our website, compassionprisonproject.org, see what we're doing, see if it resonates. Our volunteer thing is really a little stuck because that means it needs my attention and then I can't do other things. So
Yeah.
the volunteering thing, if it's really spectacular, let me know. But, if you want to donate, or if the thing I tell people is, if you have a prison that's local and you want to do this on some level, find out how to make that happen. Don't ask me, because if I could do it, I would have done it already. So figure it out.
Yeah.
Find somebody else who's in there. Go visit with them, or usually some religious group is in there helping, doing their part. So, I mean, working in a prison is a spiritual journey, because you are confronted with your own darkness, no matter how you slice it. What we as a society have done to people in prison, that's our darkness. What they're dealing with, it's all there. It's juicy, it's exhausting too. I remember the first time I did my first class, I was on the couch for 2 days afterwards. It was so, you build a muscle, but it's intense. But until I'm called to do something else, this is what I'll be doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your work. I like I said, if people haven't seen that video, go watch that video, because it's such a simple illustration of everything we talked about today. And we talked about so much more, but go watch that video and make a donation. That's probably the easiest way to support right now, I would imagine.
Yes, you will pay for these, it's working. This is working. So
Yeah.
that would help. But or just say a prayer for us. Say a prayer for the people in prison. That helps too. It all helps. It's all energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm. Thank you so much for your work. And may it continue, and may all of us do this inner work too. Why not? Why not? The world, not why, we need it, right? We need it to be vibrantly alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to another Fierce Wisdom interview. Like, share, follow, and make sure you're on my email list to stay connected and join any of the programs I offer. We have an incredible retreat coming up in Bali, March 11th through the 16th, 2026, that we still have spots for, along with all of my group and private coaching healing programs that you'll find at michelleboulé.com. Be in touch, and here's to making your entire life your greatest creation.